Hi there. Welcome to Creation Station Monthly. This is our show where we talk about a creative topic with two strangers. They've never met each other before logging in to see the show today. And we're going to spend some time asking questions. Why did you get into this field? How did you think about this field before or afterwards? And today's topic is going to puzzle you all because I do a lot of tech stuff, but today it's all about family reunions because July is Family Reunion Month. So, Mary Ellen and Jona, how are you doing today?
Fine.
Just fine.
So, Jona, I want you to lead us off, please, and tell us what do you do about family reunions and how long you've been doing these sorts of things and what makes them, in your mind, start to click to be creative?
Okay. Well, I have been attending family reunions since I was a little girl. So I always attended, but I didn't get into the planning of it, creating activities and that type of thing until I became an adult. But my mother was always instrumental in the family reunions and the family tree and that type of thing. So it's been many, many years.
I know that I heard about a church thing. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm a proud member of Mount Hermon AME Church. And we have a historical society and a museum. And our museum is full of all kinds of artifacts and things. Our church is, I think we're 118. I meant to check that. 118 years old. We're one of the first, we're the largest African Methodist Episcopal Church in Broward County in Southern Florida.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there, but just for people from outside of our area, when you're saying, 118, that's not, Broward County's not even 118 years old yet.
So
they've been here longer than we have.
Right. So the church has been here before Broward County's formed. Okay. So the church it was one of the first things here by the railroad track before Flagler. If you remember Flagler, who actually established the railroads and all that. We were in, during that time. So it was in 1906 is when we established. Yeah, that's when we were established. Yes.
And Mary Ellen, tell us about you, because I know you've been doing family reunions. You've been like the person for your family doing all these for a long time, haven't you?
It started in 1991. I'm one of 7 children. And one of my brothers said, why don't we all go to the beach? And we came from different states. Pittsburgh was our home, where we all grew up. And he booked a beach house in, I think it was, Sanderling. No. Anyway, it was on the Virginia shore. And at that time, there was probably 5 little kids, nieces and nephews, and they slept on the floor in sleeping bags and had a ball, and the adults had the bedrooms. And we went back to that same location 2 years later. It worked out so well that we decided we'd do it every other year. And then we moved on to Myrtle Beach, and then we ended up finally in Corolla Light at the very northern tip of the Outer Banks. It's north of Duck, North Carolina. And once we went to Duck in Corolla Light, I guess they needed somebody to take the reins. And I'm the oldest child, and I guess I was just, okay, I'll do it. And so I did it from probably 1999 until this past year. In 2021, I had retired, and even though I'd have more time for the planning, I needed to have the younger generation coming up to carry this through. And I put it out there the first night, does anyone want to do this? And the next day, nobody had come. And my one niece said, well, my one nephew would like to do it. So I went up to the nephew, and he says, oh, yeah, I'd love to do it. This is what I do. He's a realtor in Arlington and Virginia. And I said, Ben, it's yours. So I gave him all of my information of who I contact, when I contact them, and that's how it went. So we had our Ben organized the one last month, and it worked out beautifully.
That is awesome. Now, that leads us to my question. as anybody who's watched the show before knows, I'm always asking these questions about what kind of technology are you using and stuff like that. That's my first question for both of you is, what are you actually doing to do that planning with? Because there's a lot of coordination stuff going on, and it may seem like, oh, well, wow, how hard could it be? No, I know how hard it can be just to get 6 people together for something. And you're both doing dozens or more people all this time. Tell us, what are you using, Mary Ellen? How have you actually organized these people to pass it on?
I'm not as tech savvy as you are, Bob. So I was using the computer. I knew what realty companies have rentals on the Outer Banks. And I also knew what section of the Outer Banks I wanted to do. So I would just search the website for houses that had 6 bedrooms, and because we needed 4 to 5 houses. We're up to 5 houses now because we're like 45 people. And as the younger kids get older, you can't put them in double rooms or triple rooms as much as we could when they were younger.
I can't imagine, like, some of them don't want to sleep in sleeping bags anymore.
No, I don't think so. Oh, well, now there's a new generation coming up, so they probably would be. But right now they're kind of toddlers and still in cribs, so they're not ready for that yet. But Ben, being in real estate, he seemed to be able to do a lot of spreadsheets and different things that I just wasn't capable of doing. So,
fill us in, Jona. How are you doing on that?
Okay, so this year we had a break because of COVID, so we haven't met in a while, and then we end up noticing a lot of our patriarchs and matriarchs of the family had passed away. So it was kind of challenging, and they were like, "Uh-oh, we better meet to keep this family lineage going, because if we don't know who we are amongst each other, it's going to be difficult." So we used text messages, we used emails, the email blasts, we had newsletters, that type of things to get the information out. And sometimes we just had to call people. That still works. It still works to this day. Calling them, hey, I know you passed the deadline, but we encourage you all to participate. So the younger generation, but I'm with Mary Ellen, it's challenging. And I thought this was our struggle this year. So this year we just came back from family reunion in June, and we were at Margaritaville in Orlando. So we had 6 cottages, and some stayed at the hotel. But the challenge was the age gap. So we came up with this thing like flex time, because the older generation, which I guess I'm an elder now. So I don't want to go to theme parks. Yeah. Because it's Orlando, and the younger generation and the kids, and it's a lot of kids in this family. I mean, elementary school, middle school. So I knew they would want to, participate in the theme parks and those types of things. So we came up with this thing called Flex Time, where we would plan a meeting together or an activity that we would come together, but we gave people flex time to go and do those things in Orlando, because Orlando is it's just a wonderful place. Yeah. So much to do.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
It's a lot to do. And so those other people, text message, the Google Forms really helped a lot, because we created a lot of QR codes.
Okay.
And we had am I speaking too much? Is that
no. Go. No, this is good. This is good info for
everybody. We had QR codes, and different houses hosted different things. Like I had Crown Night, and that was for the women who wanted to come. It rained a lot in June. You remember how all the rain that was coming? So when it was raining, I would send out that text blast. Because we had paint and sip at my cottage. So the women came over to my cottage, and we did a little painting activity, talked, and just caught up, And then the guys had at another cottage, they had cigars and conversations. And I'm not sure what went on there, but I'm quite sure they had a good time. But all of this using the technology, letting people know what's going on, what time, if you want to meet us, if you want to join us. But we had two things that were mandatory was the banquet. And that was the whole, the one activity we really encouraged everybody to come to. And then we had a 5K walk, run, fun run, dedicated to my uncle who passed away, who loved fitness. And he used to be do marathons, and he was like 70, 80 years old. So we kind of like named it after him.
That's a nice tribute.
The challenge is, how do you connect?
That's my question for both of you, is how do you keep these people? I'm just imagining this. Oh, hey, yeah, I haven't seen you in 5 years, cousin from my sister's side. Let's all get together in a house together. How do you two manage that conversation?
I had a committee.
Good for you.
And I called, I was a senior advisor. A lot of our family comes from Georgia, and I had my cousin, she was a senior, Ellen, she was a senior advisor, but we try to let the younger people plan it. And then it kind of like they didn't know what else to do, so we jumped in. So we used those generations on the committee, and a lot of things they were saying they didn't want to do. They were like, "What's wrong? We don't want to do this." I don't think anybody want to do that. So it was good to hear what they want to do and the type of things that they want to do, because they're these gamers and stuff. So they even had a cottage that had the younger people, with the little, I don't know, they were doing games and stuff, like a game house at their house. But it's a challenge of how to get those different age groups and keep them interested. But I did hear feedback, and we had a feedback of how they think the reunion went. So and just like Mary Ellen, we decided to meet every other year. And we also voted on where it's going to be before we left the reunion. It's going to be in Atlanta.
Do you both rotate them to different places then? Or do you keep to the same? Mary Ellen, are you guys kind of locked in on the banks now?
One year we went to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee.
Ooh,
and while everyone seemed to enjoy it, many of the people said they wanted to go back to the beach, because we come from 5 states. And I'm the only one that is in along the ocean, and the kids wanted to go back to the beach. So we go back to the same area every time. It's a very family oriented place. They have a trolley, which the young kids love. They can take it to the beach. They can take it back. There's a pool, 2 pools right on the dunes, so that you can go from the pool to the ocean, back up again, that sort of thing. We do not have as much planned as Jona does, and other than dinner at night. Each family is on their own for breakfast and lunch. They can go out and eat. They can eat in their house. They can eat at the pool. But dinner, we all have, and originally, each family did dinner one night. That was in the early days. And then we decided to break the families up. It seemed that some of the wives thought the husbands didn't quite help enough, because they were it was their wives, it's like they were still at home. So this way we break it up, and all the kids are involved. If they're 6 years old, they're involved, even if they do almost nothing. But usually they're put on with one of their parents. So they might cut up a little vegetable or something. Bake chocolate chip cookies for dessert.
I'm on that. I can do cookies. I'm good.
Do cookies? Okay. All right. So that we started that probably 14 years ago, and with the breaking it up for 6 people. That's what it kind of turned out to be. And then it seemed to be, once they got to the beach, they would decide what they're going to make. Well, 2 years ago, when we decided that the younger generation needed to take more responsibility, and they would be the head chefs. And a lot of my nephews are very good cooks. Well, now it's gotten to be almost like a competition with these guys. They're each in charge, and they still have their 6 people. But they make their menu in advance, and they kind of broadcast it so no one else takes the same menu. It's kind of funny, but that's how it works out. And it works out very well. So we don't care what they cook. It could be steak, it could be hot dogs.
Okay.
We just want to be able to walk in and have a nice dinner, and hors d'oeuvres and a little bit of wine, all that kinds of stuff. So that is mainly how we do that. But since the pool and the beach are so close together, we're in contact with everybody all day, but it's not really as organized. The community has t-shirts which they tie-dye. So if anyone wants to do that in the morning, they can do that. We usually go crabbing one day. Young kids go out. We go out and get chicken legs, and we go and the young kids get crabs and so, but they have a lot of fun doing that. And at night, we have Scrabble players, we have poker players, we have other card players. So you can go home and read your book if you want, or you can stay and play Scrabble or whatever else, So
I'm leaning towards the book thing. I'm leaning towards sitting on the beach reading a book.
Well, this is at night.
I got my Kindle. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I can go for a long time.
That's the whole thing. It's everyone can do whatever they want to do. The only thing the dinner is not mandatory. It's like they want to come. But these kids, these ones that are now doing the dinners, they were the original group the very first year. And as I said, we're from 5 states. These kids have stayed together through social media. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this reunion. And they are in touch, and every one of them comes. Every one of them comes. We had one that didn't come this year because his wife is a lawyer, and the judge wouldn't change the trial date. So they weren't able to come. But other than that, they're there.
That leads me to a question. Jona, you go first, Jona, and then I'm going to ask my question. You look like
I thought our attendance was very well this year. We had close to 100 people. I think the count was 92. But the reason why we had like the mandatory banquet is because we needed to see who everyone is. And it was very important just 10 years ago, those kids grow so. You're like, wow, Now
you put these all in one room? All 100-something
we had a banquet room. Yeah, we had a banquet facility. Yeah, we had a it was called West Park Community Center. Very nice community center. We had the food catered in, just a simple menu. But just to have everyone say, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is my wife, and I have 3 kids, so they know how, and my mother is this, and my father was that. To make sure how. The main goal is not just to have fun. We were having a lot of fun, but we wanted to also make sure we got that family and the legacy tie in. So that's why. And those kids, they grow up. They were walking up to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, I remember you, but you were a little girl last time I saw you. So it's very important in that they know, who's who.
That sounds, from both of you, that is an awesome idea of how to build those things up. Now, what do you think if somebody out there is like listening to this and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm inspired. We've got a family. I could get, these people. What's the one thing you want to tell them? Like, this is how you have to get started.
Get started. Get started. Get started. No matter what the number, no matter how many, everybody's going to have an opinion. Because when it started, they were like Margaritaville, we're like the cottages. And some people thought it's too expensive. The whole money thing is a whole thing too. So, it's a whole lot of factors. How do you keep the cost down and all that? Just start. Even if it's 2 families, next year could be 3 or 4 families. Just build on that. But you got to get started somewhere and just keep the faith that it's going to turn out. But at least get started.
Yeah, in my case, you have to start a year in advance because these houses are they go quickly, and most of the realty companies, if you rent this year and you leave on Saturday, you have until Monday to rent the same cottage, same house for next year for the same week. If you do not, and we don't do that because we're only there every other year, then you can go and rent on, I can call on Tuesday. So that was the big date that I always had. I had to have which houses I wanted to rent on that Tuesday because I didn't want to wait too long. Somebody else might have rented it before me.
So Bob, I just want to say somebody beginning though. I think me and Mary Ellen kind of worked up to the houses and stuff.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Oh yes.
Most people start out with a block of rooms at a hotel at a reasonable price. Start there, and then you build from there.
How did you both arrive at your timing on this for when and why that? You both explained kind of like the where, but what about the why and the time and the when?
I think we first started out in June, and we just seemed that worked for most people as soon as the kids were out from school.
Yeah.
And then I found also, as I was trying to keep costs down, that the earlier that I could go in June was more cost effective than waiting to the last week of June. So, and people know right now, we've gone so many times, everyone knows it's about the second week of June that we go.
Okay.
Right. I'm sort of with Mary Ellen. We kind of know that ours is always the last week of June.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. But if it would change, if we get like a good, bargain on something, or we will change it. But that's why it's best to plan at least a year ahead. So, because a lot of jobs are, you have to put your vacation time in a year ahead.
Right.
So that's
for me, it feels so weird for summer because I'm busy doing summer stuff and for the library. And you guys are both like, oh no, we do this all summer long. It sounds like you could like do a party for a whole week. Are you doing this for just 2 days, or how many days are you both celebrating on this?
Ours is a week, Saturday to Saturday.
And mine was 4 days.
That is awesome.
Mine was 4 days. So those people who are having a difficult time getting off of work or who didn't plan well, because we went from Thursday to Sunday, and I knew from past experience not to put too much on that Thursday, because most people are like, okay, we're just gonna drive up right after work on Friday. So I knew that was going to happen.
What night is the banquet night?
And that happened. Saturday night was banquet
Saturday
night.
Okay.
So it's a whole lot of it's so many activities that things people can do, but you try to keep this cost down. Sometimes in the past we did Sunday worship at a church or whatever, but we're just getting to this stage with the cottages and doing all that because this new generation makes you do.
Yeah.
You can't have that same family reunion we had back in the older days where you went and we're outside the picnic, which is fine, but they want to, it's like you have to keep them engaged, this new generation, which I don't blame them, but they want to do new and exciting things. So you have to keep it growing and exciting.
Now, Mary Ellen, Jona mentioned briefly, I'm going to have her come back over to it. During the pandemic, when we all had to stay away and we all had to do things, did you both do this sort of thing online, or do you still to this day bring in someone like someone who can't make it? Do they get to like be on a Zoom call with everybody one night or something like that? Or have you guys thought about using those kinds of things?
We haven't really done that because people have come. I'm just trying to think back about what we did in the pandemic. Well, we go in the odd years. My one brother keeps telling me that. Remember, it's the odd years. So we went in 21 and we went in 23. So the pandemic didn't really hold us back. I think part of that area was closed the summer before, but they reopened for bookings for 21. So we went back. Yeah. And didn't have any difficulties.
Good. Very good.
Yeah.
How about Jona?
During the pandemic, actually, we weren't talking about the family reunion. We knew that we couldn't go anywhere, but we did have a lot of like a Zoom calls. We had I know we had our birthday party the family was on, and then we chat with the girls. Like most of the guys didn't want to do it, but the girls, we got together on Zoom and we had a good time and we talked and everything. So, and we kept in contact with everybody. How you doing? How you guys doing up there? And all this kind of stuff. So, but actually it came out of the pandemic, those little chit chats on Zoom, that we need to plan these family reunions when it's all clear. Good. And so that's actually how we got, because we need to get back together.
So now, prior to this whole idea, how were you? One of the questions we always ask people is, how were you creative before you got into this field? So you both seem really organized people. What did you do in your lives before this portion of, and this is obviously not a real life, not a career of doing family reunions. I'm certain there's somebody out there who is like, oh, I do this for a living and I plan things for people. But what did you do in the past that you feel like you built up some skills that helped you with being creative and doing this and coming up with all these ideas for how to get everyone involved?
Well, I guess it started way back in that my mother died early and I was the oldest of 7. So I was a freshman in college when that happened. So that put a lot of response. Well, just even before Mom died, being the oldest, you're going to have organizational skills because you have to help at home. My first career was food service management, and I managed a restaurant in a large metropolitan hospital with 60 employees that was open 24 hours a day because we were a first-class trauma center. Then I went on to midlife and changed to occupational therapy. And I became director of rehab in nursing homes in Southern Florida. So all of my career was basically management and organization.
Jona, how about you? How did you get roped into this?
Sort of like Mary Ellen, my mother. My mother was always, we got to get together. We got to do this back and forth to Georgia. She was just close to her family. I think seeing her, but I can back up. My organizational skills come from the military. So I was a sergeant in the United States Army for years.
Nice.
So I get that. And I'm currently with Broward County Schools right now.
Another organization.
Everything is organization. So those skills come in handy. But I think the one skill that can't be taught, you have to be that person that kind of knows everyone. And if you don't know everyone, you can speak to someone and get them to know your family. We just want to meet you. I have never been a quiet person. I guess you could tell that. So you have to have that rapport with people and build those relationships. And I think that's key to family reunion.
And I want to ask that question because you both have mentioned like local extended and how many in this. When you're thinking about this and doing these, how do you plan for who's going to come? Are you looking at Mary Ellen, and you mentioned the kids? You've got the 6 and then their kids. Is it cousins? Is it where do you get out to how big, how many? It's like I come from a decently sized family. When we sit down and we put everyone around a table for Thanksgiving, we're at 30-something people with all the kids and husbands and wives and everybody. So how do you decide where's your drop-off point of, well, your sister can come, but not your wife's sister? Or tell me where along those lines are you guys thinking about?
Well, for the last 2 years, one of the nephews, his in-laws come, and they've kind of become part of the family. So that has, that's been a nice added to people because they're very personable and, no problems there. I kind of get the hint that another in-law might be wanting to come the next time we go, because the another nephew, it would be his wife's parents, because she's come now 2 or 3 times and has had a good time and wants her parents to come. Now, whether or not that happens next time, I don't know. It would all depend on, you know, how do we get the number of houses with the number of bedrooms that can accommodate everybody. We haven't gotten to the point that people are saying that we've got 20 more people that want to come. That hasn't happened yet. So I don't know whether it will. We haven't had any conversation as to limiting the number.
That's nice. How about it, Jona?
I think the majority of my family is from Georgia. So
Okay.
travel this time. So I think in 2025 it's going to be in Georgia. So we're not going to, I really don't want to cap any numbers. And actually our family reunion was called Hamilton Family Reunion, Family and Friends. We do have some people who, you know, you always have that person, they're not related, but they're always at every function. You think they're not blood related, but they're family. Let me put it that way. My son's, his in-laws joined us this time. We had some other people who were there, friends of other family members, but I don't think we'll ever cap it. I think the more is merrier for me, because we really want to see people. Now at the banquet, when we start doing the family tree and getting the kids to understand, as far back as we can go, is Carrie Hamilton, which is my great grandmother. So that's the family that my mother's side of the tree, not my dad's. My mother's side of the tree. So that's whom we invite, anybody related to her. And it's up to them to come. We have quite a few who didn't come. So I'm expecting a great turnout in Georgia 2025, because majority of them are from Georgia and they wouldn't have to travel. So
I'm just picturing you with like this huge poster on a wall that people are filling in names and tracing things back and forth to figure out, how am I related to this person over here?
Oh, funny you said that. So the creative side of me had 2 family trees. You know, since I work out of school, so I had one tree with, it's just branches, and we had the 2 sisters, where we had Carrie Hamilton at the top, and then the 2 sisters, Fannie Mae, and then Elizabeth Williams. And it was so interesting that we put leaves on the table, and they put their name on the leaf. And as you took your family up to introduce them, you would fill in the leaves. And it was so interesting to see how this side of the family is really, I think they had like 50, 60 leaves, and my poor family, we only had like 12 maybe on that side. But it was so interesting. But I have one, my aunt who passed away, my mom's first cousin, who they're just missed. Everybody kept saying we didn't want to make it morbid by mentioning them, but they were just hugely missed. But she had 17 children, so that's why that side of the tree was full.
Yeah, the old fashioned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my side of the tree were like, oh my goodness, it was but we're all family.
So are you both like using Ancestry or 21andMe or whatever to track family members and stuff?
We use Ancestry, yes, and we built it. But the best, my mom, like I said, that previous generation before, they had it down packed. They had it the old-fashioned way, written down
on the first page of the family Bible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How about Mary Ellen? How are you guys tracking that anyway of all the people who have been?
I think one person might be, but we don't use it on the reunion at all, because we know who the group is, and it's the descendants from my siblings and down. Right. So we haven't done that.
That's nice. I do like that idea, though, that you've got a definitive here. We begin here. We can track and we know.
That is nice. Yes.
Yeah. That's a really fun thing. So tell me, I want you guys to each brag here for a moment and tell me, what is your favorite thing out of all the years you've been doing these and all the moments you got kids together and whoever to cook or do whatever. What's the one thing you want to brag about that like this was a really good experience that moved everybody who showed up that day?
I can think of we had actually two. I love the kids. So the kids did like a talent show.
See, now anybody out there who thought, wait a minute, Bob, how are you going to be creative with family reunions? Look at what we've got going on here, folks.
We look within our that was previous years when my mom was alive. So they used to always do this like little talent show and whatever. But like I said, we kind of like stepped up this year. We had a comedy show for that Friday night because we have a comedian in our family. So he did like a little thing. But the icing on the cake was Diana when she opened her mouth to start singing. I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? She was amazing. I mean, fantastic voice. And it's all within the family.
That is awesome. How about it, Mary Ellen?
Well, I think similar. We didn't have any skits or anything, but some of the younger nieces and nephews have some real talents in singing. Mm-hmm. And my nephew plays the violin. So they put on a little show one night, the two of them. And they're both in the same school, and they were in a class play and a class concert. And so they put on some of their songs that they had done then. But the skits, I think that's something that we're going to have to work on let those younger kids start to do that. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I can picture this is now where you need to get more people in, and as you start to explore just how many different people are in the family, you're going to find these talents out there that no one ever.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
we also, we have the adults now reaching milestone birthdays, and one's graduating from high school, college, that sort of thing. So we honor those people.
That's good.
While we're there,
and you got a whole cooking competition going on too.
And we have a cooking competition going on.
That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that idea at Mary Ellen.
Exactly.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
So now tell me, how could you, because you both do this and have done this, and one of the things we always ask in the show is, what do people outside of your field think about what you're doing? About for this kind of thing. So what would you say to someone who's looking at you like, okay, yeah, so it's a family reunion, so what? What would you say to someone like that who's like, no, this is why you need to be doing this, and this is, if you have the time, here's like the professional advice you can give people to go do this as a side hustle thing? What do you think, Mary Ellen? What would you tell somebody about the what do they want to do about this?
I think she's.
She froze on us. Mary Ellen's frozen us. You go, Jona.
I would say to attend a family reunion is to know yourself.
Okay. Because
you'll get into speaking with people. You wonder why did I pick this field, and then you find out, oh wow, I come from a field of educators. Or wow, I come from if you notice, most of your family are all, it's like they have like 3 professions within your family. And you get to know that. You're like, oh, I was thinking of this college kids age, like, oh, I was thinking about going into law. They would see it's already in the family. Oh, I didn't know that. So I think they should attend, and you'll find a lot about yourself when you attend and find out about your family.
How about you, Mary Ellen? Now that you're back with us, you froze up there for a minute on us. Tell us.
I did, and I missed the beginning part of your question.
But so asking about, for somebody who's on the outside here saying, well, wait a minute, it's not like I want to make this a career, but what would you do? What would you give them as advice? Like how to get into this if you wanted to do family reunions as a side hustle type thing? one of our questions we always ask people is, what do the rest of the world think about your profession?
Well, I'd say start small.
Are you back now? Oh, you froze up again on us. We're not hearing you, Mary Ellen.
A lot of my friends, and it builds.
I think we're losing you, Mary Ellen. I think your connection just kind of died on us there, Mary Ellen. You were all broken up there, video and audio. We'll move on. Well, let me ask one more question here because we're almost time to wrap up here. I did want to say, I want to ask about where do you want to go with this in the future? You were both talking about passing this along to the next generation to continue doing it. What would you like to see them, or to see how it could continue forward for that? Jona, you jump in and do, and we'll see if Mary Ellen can get caught up so she can get back in sync.
Right. So what I would like for the future generation to kind of take the reins, run with it, just not one time a year. I would like to see it go where we keep in touch by Zoom. I did notice on my Facebook page, a lot of them tagged us, so now I can see the family and their interactions during it, just to keep in touch with your family members. And I would like to see that happen. I really would.
Trying to bring back Mary Ellen now. Did that fix it for you, Mary Ellen?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Okay, good. Better. Yes, now you are. Just the last thing for you, Mary Ellen, was what would you like to see the younger generation as they're taking over? Because you said you're moving this on to the next people. Yeah, are you letting it skip a generation to take the young ones?
Yes, I would like my nieces and nephews to continue with this, because it's gone so well since 1991 that to lose this connection would be a very sad thing. So I would recommend anyone just start small and just build.
Nice. And you guys both get to be the matriarchs and sit in the back and say, "Hey, no, go bring me my drink now."
Right.
I have to say, not going to the grocery store is very nice since they go.
Well, I want to thank you both for doing this month. This was a really fun conversation to have, and I hope that people out there will get some interesting concepts and ideas. And as always, you can email me at creationstation@broward.org if you have any questions that I can pass along for you to get hints and advice. We're going to see everybody next month. Thank you all for being here for Creation Station Monthly. And as always, we'll be here on Thursdays for the Tech Talk Weekly. Have a great time, everybody.